You might as well rename the Liberty Bowl the Opt-Out Bowl, because that's exactly what it's going to feel like when Texas Tech takes on Arkansas in Memphis later on this week. Both these teams are extremely short-handed entering Friday night's matchup, but the show must go on. So, the million-dollar question is, who is able to overcome these obstacles? Who's going to overcome these opt-outs and end the season on a little bit of a high and with a little bit of momentum as they enter what's going to be a bit of a rebuilding or at least a restructuring year for both programs in 2025. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. So glad to break down the Liberty Bowl between the Texas Tech Red Raiders and the Arkansas Razorbacks. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of those expert picks. Some of the best picks in the entire country. Our holiday special, one of the best in the country as well. We've never hit under 60% on our spread picks during the postseason. So our holiday special gives you all of our bowl game picks and the rest of our NFL picks for the entire season. Do not miss out on that. A link for that down in the description below, as well as everything else you need to become a valued member of our GE Nation. Because again, this is a place where we talk college football 24/7, 365. All right, let's dive into this thing. Texas Tech coming in at 8-4, a pretty solid year for them, especially after a somewhat lackluster start to the season. Arkansas in at 6-6, bouncing back from a disappointing 4-8 season in 2023. So not the year that Hog fans wanted by any means, but back to the postseason is better than missing out as a whole. You take a look at the offense, and we'll start with Texas Tech. They are depleted a little bit. First off, they lose their offensive coordinator. Zach Kittley is gone, becoming the head coach at Florida Atlantic. Their quarterback, Baron Morton, is going to be out as well, had season-ending surgery. Had a pretty solid year when he was healthy. So the Red Raiders are going to be turning to a freshman quarterback, Will Hammond, who has 191 yards and a touchdown on the year, all of that on just 23 attempts. But he did shine. Majority of those stats coming in that game where he kind of came in against TCU. And even though Texas Tech did lose that game, played very well in that game against the Horned Frogs. Kind of showed what he was capable of and actually showed off a little bit of mobility in that game as well. This is a team that ranks 9th in total offense, 460 yards per game, 9th in the nation in passing offense, nearly 300 passing yards per game, and also averaged over 161 rushing yards per game. But the million-dollar question is, will their star running back Taj Brooks play? As of this video, we're not entirely sure. I believe he was listed on the depth chart. My gut says he's probably going to play. I feel like he's leaning towards playing in this game, and they're going to need him. With a freshman quarterback who, again, showed flashes of brilliance, but still a freshman quarterback, and it goes through some growing pains there. Having Brooks, who's rushed for over 1,500 yards and 17 touchdowns on the year, having him at your disposal is going to be massive. So, again, a Texas Tech offense that knows how to score, they know how to play fast. They average nearly 40 points per game, 38.6 to be exact. This is a team that is really, really, really tough to stop offensively. But they're going to need their freshman quarterback to play well, and they're certainly going to need Taj Brooks in their backfield as well. Arkansas, on the other hand, they are in a really rough state offensively. Let's start up front in the trenches. It's really hard to win games when you can't dominate or control the line of scrimmage. Arkansas might not be able to do that. The Razorbacks entering this game are going to have just six healthy offensive linemen that are on scholarship. So 6 healthy scholarship offensive linemen. Keep in mind you need, 5 up front? This is a concern for the Razorbacks. It's pretty much everybody's opted out and essentially gone over to Ole Miss. So Arkansas has essentially become Ole Miss's farm system here. So you've got a lot of your offensive line is either out or injured or transferred out, whatever. Their star running back, Jaquindon Jackson, is not going to play. Their top wide receiver, Andrew Armstrong, is not going to play. Isaiah Satania, also in the wide receiver corps, not going to play. Their star tight end, Luke Haas, is going to be gone off to Ole Miss. Braylon Russell can't make up his mind whether or not he wants to be in the transfer portal or not. He just took himself out of the transfer portal for the second time this year in about the span of 2 weeks. Whether or not he plays in Memphis remains to be seen, but even if he does, definitely hasn't practiced that much with the team. Really, this Arkansas team is depleted. The offensive line is depleted. The running back core is depleted. The wide receiver core is depleted. But the good thing for them is that their quarterback, Taylon Green, not only is playing in this game, but he's announced that he will return to Fayetteville for 2025. And that's massive, right? He's had an up and down year, over 2,800 passing yards, 13 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, but also rushed for over 500 yards and 7 touchdowns. So he's the second leading rusher on the team for the Hogs right now. He is a veteran quarterback. He has shown flashes of brilliance, but he's got to learn to take care of the football. Got to learn to take care of the football, got to make better decisions, and he's got to have better pocket awareness. A guy with that type of mobility cannot afford to stand in the pocket and get sacked over and over and over again, just like he has multiple times this season. But the Hogs, under Bobby Petrino, their offensive coordinator, have played well offensively. Over 450 yards per game. That's 13th in the nation. They're 22nd in the nation in passing offense with over 269 passing yards per game. The million-dollar question is, number one, will Green have time to throw? Number two, if he does, will his, kind of ragtag crew of wide receivers and pass catchers be able to deliver in a game like this? The thing is, they actually might. As depleted as Arkansas's offense is, Texas Tech's defense is disgusting. It is terrible. They're going to be without their defensive coordinator, Tim DeRuyter. He was so bad they had to get rid of him, right? 125th overall in total defense. 125th overall in total defense for the Red Raiders, allowing over 450 yards per game. They are 133rd in the nation, pretty much dead last, essentially, in passing yards per game allowed. They're giving up over 306 passing yards per game. So despite Arkansas being so depleted in the pass-catching core, Taylon Green could have himself a day against a Texas Tech secondary that has proven time and time again that they cannot stop the pass. Factor in Green's mobility and that you honestly have to respect his ability to run the ball, and this Texas Tech defense could have some issues for a while. So this is a team that is, again, without their defensive coordinator. This is a team that is depleted on the defensive side of the ball, whether it be from transfers or opt-outs or just plain old injuries. A team that is allowing over 34.5 points per game on the year, has mustered only 19 sacks on the year, so not really generating much pressure. It's concerning if you're Texas Tech entering this game. If Arkansas was at full strength, they'd be a much bigger favorite than they are right now, and I would feel like they could probably go in there and dominate this game if they were at full strength offensively. But because they're not, this game might be a little bit closer than you think, and Texas Tech's defense could either still look really, really bad or actually might look decent only because Arkansas is going to be so depleted. But the key for them in this game is to get after Taylon Green. He is the do-it-all guy. He is going to determine whether Arkansas wins or loses this game. This Texas Tech defense has forced 14 interceptions. Green has not shown the ability to make the best decisions in games. So if you can force him into mistakes, if you can get pressure on Taylon Green against this really beat-up offensive line, Texas Tech's going to be looking okay. Arkansas, on the other hand, they are down tons. A lot of their players transferring out to Ole Miss. A lot of their players just transferring out, period. They're down their number 4 tackler, TJ Metcalf. He also leads the team in interceptions with 3. They're down their number 5 tackler, and Brad Spence, who had 4.5 sacks on the year. Their sack leader, Landon Jackson, got beat up really bad at the end of that Missouri game. Obviously, could be a first, second round draft pick, some are saying. So Landon Jackson, between his injury and between the NFL draft coming up, not going to be playing in this game as well, along with a handful of other defensive starters that will not be playing in this game, whether it's for opt-out reasons or transferring reasons. This is an Arkansas defense that has had its moments, right? They held Tennessee to 14 points and won that game in Fayetteville, but got absolutely torched at home against Ole Miss, naturally. So you never know which Arkansas defense is going to show up, and you certainly don't know which one's going to show up now with so many starters not playing. Their starters clearly weren't that good. So now you've got their backups, which weren't even good enough to start on this defense. How good are they going to be going up against this offense? But a team that, again, you never know. Travis Williams sometimes pulls a rabbit out of his hat and has a great game. Some games he doesn't chooses not to game plan, chooses not to show up at all. You never know what you're going to get from the Hogs, right? This is a team, though, that only has 25 sacks, so like Texas Tech, does not pressure the quarterback very well. A team that's only forced 8 interceptions, only 13 turnovers total on the year. Keep in mind, Texas Tech has forced 14 interceptions. Arkansas has forced 13 total turnovers. That's a bit of a problem there as well. So this is one of those games where I would not be shocked at all to see Will Hammond, the freshman quarterback for the Red Raiders, come in here and just torch this Arkansas secondary, allowing over 244 passing yards per game. But it's also a game where I could see him coming in here and Arkansas having 3 picks, because that's just what happens. The Hogs are pretty solid against the run. They're only giving up 122 rushing yards per game. So again, if Taj Brooks plays, that becomes more of an emphasis, is to shut down the run and force a freshman quarterback to beat you. If he doesn't, you still got to shut down the run, but it might not be as hard to do without their 1,500-yard rusher. So a very, very interesting game, guys, coming up on Friday in Memphis. It's going to be ugly. It's one of those games where, the opt-outs have kind of hurt it. I think if both these teams were at full strength, if you didn't really see many opt-outs or transfers and like that, this would end up being a relatively close game. It might be, be a high-scoring game, and it still could be those things. But there's so much uncertainty as we head into this Liberty Bowl that it's making it very hard to pick. But ultimately, I got to tell you, I'm going to side with Texas Tech here. I'm going to side with the Red Raiders. And here's the thing. Arkansas, it felt like every time, I was checking Twitter or I was getting alerts or anything like that, talking to people, a new Arkansas player was hitting the portal. This felt similar to a Marshall situation. Marshall had so many guys hit the portal that they had to opt out of their bowl game against Army. I was not going to be surprised if Arkansas to do the same thing. That's how many guys are transferring out. Over 24 players have transferred out of this program in the last few weeks. It's a major concern. The majority of those guys are starters as well. So definitely some concerns for the Hogs here. And I think just because of how bad they've been this year, how inconsistent they've been, how many guys have opted out, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Texas Tech, I actually have a lot of faith in Will Hammond. I have a lot more faith in this Red Raiders offense as Tosh Brooks plays, and I believe he probably will. So I'd love the Texas Tech offensive edge here. The defense is horrible, but I don't think Taylor Green can play a clean enough game to take advantage of that time and time again. I think it's relatively close, but I think Texas Tech ekes out a victory. They win the Liberty Bowl over the Hogs. It's ugly. It's nasty. Maybe you enjoy that. I don't know. To each your own. But Texas Tech, I believe, wins this game. And with it, the Red Raiders will clinch their first 9-win season since 2009. Their first 9-win season since 2009, which also happened to be the great Mike Leach's final year in Lubbock. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to leave your predictions down in the comments below and continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share our videos as we continue to progress throughout this bowl season. Check out everything down in the description below as well. That includes our holiday special. That includes the gridironexpert.com. All those things there for you to take advantage of and become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.